Hello, it's Erica of Herbal Arts, and we're here for Sunday demo. And I got to put this away, which essentially just means tossing it on the cart somewhere. On the first 2 levels, or 3 levels, because that's where the silks go. That was left over from the last bat I made. And I also need to clean just a little bit, because the bat I made, I probably don't really have to clean, because most of the same fibers, but oh well. Okay, so happy Sunday afternoon in the run up to Christmas. I was supposed to go down and work on the loom and got distracted by cooking. Not like cookies or anything like that, but I'm trying. For a number of years ago I was vegan, and I was really good about like cooking big batches of dolls, and I love Indian food, and things like that, you know, where I make a bunch for the week, and I freeze a little bit of it too, so that I have some I can just pull out of the freezer when I need it, and trying to start doing that again. I've gone through a period where I haven't done a lot of cooking, and so I got distracted doing that, and so bits that were on the carter there. And so I got distracted by that. I discovered I follow one of these vegan people on Instagram, and I cannot remember how to pronounce the word, but there's a type of dish where essentially you make a dal with the rice in it. So normally when you have a dal, which is a lentil soupy thing, not necessarily soup, but saucy, and so it's usually based on lentils, and maybe there's various spices and vegetables in it, and then you pour it on rice or eat it with rice. But this particular dish is one where you actually cook the rice with the dal, with the beans, the lentils. I made one last week and I really liked it, so now I'm trying it with red lentils and different vegetables, more vegetables. I never liked vegetables last time. And so I just sort of been doing that, and I was initially going to add spinach to it, and now I've decided I have some mushrooms, so I'm going to make spinach and mushrooms later. And so I've just been cooking today. So we're going to use this Romney. It's from Nobby Hill. Woolly Knob. And this one too. These are 2 that I use to make. There's a little bit of Angelina in here, by the way. I used that to make Janet's bat earlier this week. And then I've got some sort of lavender or lilac bamboo. And then I have this fun combo that I always have fun with, which is merino mulberry silk and sari silk. And so I think that's all we're going to do. And I think when I did Janet's bat, I did sections. I think I'm just going to like put both on, like layer both layers. Does that make sense? And it was chillier in here, but then I've had the stovetop on. I have this big Tefal pot, with that lining you're not supposed to use anymore, but it works for me. It means I don't end up with stuck on stuff at the bottom. So I got that mostly cooked up, and I've just turned the heat off so it can sit a bit. It's got red lentils and brown rice and a couple of russet potatoes chopped up, some carrots chopped up, and then it's got both red and yellow onions from my garden. And I have these little cubey things that are in my freezer from Trader Joe's that are chopped garlic and chopped ginger. Put a lot of ginger in there. I love eating a lot of things with ginger in it in the winter. It's nice and warming. And the garlic, and then what I use for spices: cumin seeds and cinnamon. Because I'm diabetic, I like to add a little cinnamon to stuff. Add some cardamom, because I like cardamom. Some smoked paprika. And then I had a It's just labeled curry. It's from Market Pantry. So I added some of that, which definitely had turmeric in it. Anything else? And I'm cooking it in ghee. Because I'm lactose intolerant, I can have the ghee. I love the ghee. It is a bit, pure fat, but. And now it's cooling down. Oh, and then I use Better Than Bouillon, the vegetable one, to flavor the water. So it's been cooking up, and there we go. A little more subtle than some of the other ones I've made recently, but I like that. And then I will add, once this video is done, because I didn't have time to do it yet, I'll add some fresh chopped cilantro, because I'm one of those people who love cilantro. I bought some cilantro, when was it? Friday. So I need to use it soon. It is I got it so I could use it in whatever doll I made this week, or whatever this word is that I cannot remember how to say. It's got a lot of vowels, a lot of consonants in it. It's like KIDCHI or something like that. I know it has 2 syllables. And I don't think I've actually ever had it in a restaurant. I think it's more of a home dish type of thing. It's often sort of like a chicken soup type of thing for when people are sick and not feeling well, because it's soothing and it's got complete proteins and all sorts of other fun stuff. So I got the cilantro for that, and then I want to make up a thing of canned black beans, because I'm lazy that way. I don't mind cooking like lentils and stuff like that, but cooking other stuff from dried beans I'm not really into that right now. I used to do it, but I wasn't always the most successful. Also because I don't have an Instant Pot, I don't have a pressure cooker. I can soak, but anyway, so I'm gonna do up a thing of black beans with like garlic and onion and cilantro and lemon or lime juice, and then I use that either just as a sort of quick side salad or as a filling to add to my quesadillas. I like to eat corn quesadillas. I did, however, when I was at the market on Friday, they were having a sale, so I was going over and getting stuff, and I was thinking about what I was going to have for Christmas Eve or Christmas, and I stopped. They have these sort of large open freezers, and they're like, I think they're 6 feet wide. Maybe they're 5 feet wide. I don't know. Anyway, so they have these freezers where they have, manager specials or various other things. And this one was labeled roasts for the holidays. And so I'm looking at like the prime ribs that are $135 for this chunk of meat. And all sorts of other, mainly beef cuts. That's a big clump there. I think I'm going to take this and I'm just going to let it trace out like that. and all these other really, some of them are big or some are small, but they were still like, $95. But I found a pork loin with the rack with the the ribs in, the bones in. It was like $10, and so I was like, okay, I will have that. It's just enough for me to have maybe 2 meals out of it. So I got that. Got some parsnips. I don't do parsnips very often. I tried to grow them in my garden, but not only is it a really super long growing season, which I may have had here this year, but the root crops just do not do well in that plot. So, no carrots, no parsnips. So I did treat myself to parsnips. I'm still going to make the sweet potato latkes that I keep talking about. I have these 2 giant, because I had one that rotted. These 2 giant sweet potatoes that, I think are okay. Probably a bit woody, but oh well. Yeah, but after this, so if I want to make this spinach and mushroom thing, I have to get the dal and rice dish out of the big pan, because I want to use the same pan. Because, of course, if I'm going to put spinach in, the spinach, you cook spinach, it starts out huge and then it, gets smaller and smaller. So I need the big pan for that. Part of what I'm doing here is, it doesn't really need to be fluffed that much, but I'm also checking for VM. This is from a small mill, and there's hay and various other things that might need to be pulled out. So. And even though I turn the burner off, I can occasionally hear the stovetop going click. It's an electric. So. I've also been doing dishes, sorting laundry. So, yeah. So tomorrow I will go to the guild and work on this. I think the weaving width, I measured it, is like 15 inches. And so I'm probably going to do something between, because there will be shrinkage. But something between probably 24 and 30 inches. And I picked the colors. So I don't know if you saw the photo, but there's all these stripes. There's sort of green over here. And there's some purple into some like burgundy types. And there's these I didn't get to tell if they were yellow or sort of chartreuse. Sort of one or two, I think they're probably 2 because it's a warp. Sort of little stripes in between them. But not necessarily always in between. Sometimes they're in the middle. I wasn't sure what the pattern was that she decided. The person who put the warp on, which was not me, as you did. But I have decided on, hello, luncheon. Yes, I roast them. Yep. Best way. Everything's better when roasted. Okay, maybe not spinach, but kale. Yeah, I treat them up. I cut them up like carrots. I think I did read somewhere that they do take longer than carrots. I think you're supposed to if you're doing a mixture like I will of carrots and parsnips, I would cut them roughly the same size. I would probably toss them in olive oil and something, maybe rosemary, maybe, yeah, whatever. And then I would start them, and then at some point I would toss the carrots in and mix them up with it, and so forth. So that way the carrots don't get more mushy. And the parsnips are sweet. So sometimes I do like to, when they come out, do a little drizzle of honey on them. Yes, it's turning into the food episode. It's that time of year. And I'm also hoping this winter, I'm sort of stuck at home. I don't really have any shows. Though there will be Facebook Live. In fact, there's a Facebook Live sale this 1 week from today. So was that the 28th? I don't remember. Whatever the Sunday is. I made it at 7 Central. It'll mostly be bat. So this bat will be available unless somebody buys it. I mean, you see me make something on a demo, unless I'm doing it as a commission or like a giveaway prize. And you want it, you let me know. Yeah, aren't they good? Yeah. I mean, parsnips are pretty high in sugar. Carrots are too, but they're a vegetable I like. Other thing I want to get this week is cauliflower. I'm having a craving for aloo gobi, which is potatoes and cauliflower. So it's a very sort of bland colored meal, though I usually put a can of chopped tomatoes in it as well. But it's one I really like. I'm having sort of a craving for that. Sometimes I also put yellow raisins in it. I have found over the years that yellow raisins actually go really well with cauliflower. One of the sort of semi-Indian dishes that I made, I don't think it's an actual dish, it's just something I made up. Super easy though. Ate it a lot when I was a vegan. Can of chickpeas. You can do 2 if you really want a lot of chickpeas. Head of cauliflower, onion, garlic, ginger, spice thing. And cumin seeds, garam masala works really well with it. And then golden raisins. And essentially cut up the cauliflower into bite size. You don't want them too big, but you want them so small that they like disintegrate. And then you just sort of toss everything in olive oil and stick it in a roasting pan and roast it. And then the yellow raisins get all, I guess sometimes they're called the Thompson raisins. They get really plump. And so, and I use olive oil, which is not exactly Indian, but it's really good. Oh, yep. Understood. Well, and I make in the summer, I don't do it as often anymore, but I used to do, tabbouleh, grain salad type of thing with things like lemon in it. Oh, nope, gotta put this on. Forgot about that. And it's actually it's above freezing here. Our snow has been melting. And in fact, probably Tuesday, because tomorrow I'm going to go down to the guild. I'm actually going to go out to my rental garden. Growing season is long over. But I never finished cleaning up. I turned in the water key because they turn the water off. But I never got my garden plot fully cleaned up because I hit that deer. And so I have no idea if the Brussels sprouts are still good, or if the plants are rotting. Check the thickness here. I got plenty of room. So I'm gonna. Hopefully, my garden will be visible, and I can at least get the tomato cages and the rake out of it. But hopefully, I can still also clean up a few other I got about half of the plants cleared before I hit the deer, and then I didn't have access to get. I mean, I could have walked, but it would have been really long walk, and I wouldn't have been able to like really care. Yeah, I can't walk through town with these tomato cages. So I'd like to get that all cleaned up. I did get permission to overwinter a few things. We're going to see how my lavender and my rosemary do. I had wanted to try and get garlic in, but that never happened. I was like, oh, I have plenty of time. Then I didn't have time. Which is like how my life runs. In fact, me posting about applying for teaching, I missed both deadlines because I got my days confused. But I have been accepted at FiberU and at Midwest Fiber Festival. And next month I will find out if I've been accepted at Michigan Fiber Festival. I've said before, there's only a certain number of shows I can teach at, because if I'm vending, that's usually the same time as the teaching. So like Hoosier Hills, some of these other ones, it's only when there's a separate, block of time where the marketplace is not open, where there's classes, or a festival where I didn't get in as a vendor, but I could maybe apply to be a teacher. Though the way that was timing, sometimes it's the same deadline, and so it's like, I can only be a teacher if you don't accept me as a vendor and all that. So, oh, you didn't get yet? Okay. Yeah, and I may do that. We'll have to see. Once again, the onions seem to have done okay. I want to plant more next year now that I know more what I'm doing. I've never grown onions before. And two of the onions I have in my doll right now, they're from my garden. I left them in a little too long. I also had shallots too. So I want to do more of those next year. I had red onions, and I think they were yellow onions. They were more like I think I had two kinds of yellow. I had ones that were more the ones that are more like oval shaped, the Italian kind. I only got a couple of those in, and then some yellow, sort of regular yellow ones. But none of them got huge, which is telling me that there's not really a lot of, my French breakfast radishes were like, they went like this, and then at the bottom they kind of went like that, because they couldn't get very far in there. Because this is not great out farmland. This is where a house used to be that got taken down in the last flood. Okay, do you want to do one more? Let's do one more row. Where? And so it's not as bad as the plot I had a number of years ago where I'd be digging and I'd be pulling out pieces of foundation. I mean, that's how rough it was. Also, I think I'm probably in a spot that where technically, like, I goes next to the house, not actually where the house was. I'm like, I was right by the alleyway and it was electric or phone pole or something like that. I'm smelling the cumin. So, yeah, I did mulch them, not all that well, and I don't know, because it's where I live, we get a lot of wind. And so I did mulch them with there's some invasive, grasses, the ones, the really tall ones, like they're like pampas grass or whatever. And some got in my garden, but it was in an area where I wasn't growing anything, so I just sort of left them. But then I cut a bunch of them down and sort of used them to cover up the mulch the plants after I'd cut them back and harvested the leaves and all that. So I don't know if they're still there or not. And I may put more stuff on top of them when I go out this week. And they may not, because I am so far north, they may not survive. Though I am in town, so it's a little more protected than if it was out in the countryside. But we will see what happens. I think next year I will. Well, the plants got kind of stunted because a lot of my stuff got stunted because I bought the stuff. I put it down in my front hallway by the door that faced south, and then it took a long time to get them in the garden. So a lot of stuff got stunted. And so these never got, sometimes lavender can get up to your hip or whatever. These were not nearly that big. But I think next year I need to, do clippings more often to encourage growth. Okay, I think that's it. We are done. Okay, let's get this off. If you want to start guessing how much this weighs, go right ahead. And as usual, I will be downloading this and then uploading it completely unedited to YouTube. Yeah, I can feel, well, I'm also probably having a hot flash. Definitely feel the heat has gone up. I'm wearing short sleeves and I don't really, I'm still warm. But anyway, so I was telling you way back, I started telling you about the warp that I'm going to be working on tomorrow because I didn't get there today. So it's got the greens there might be a little bit of yellow, but not much. There's some purple, and then there's some, plummy, reddish, burgundy stuff. And so I don't know if you remember the cone of 8-2 cotton I bought this fall to ply with the City Park bat. And then I was going to use it as warp to turn that yarn into a cowl. But I happen to have that cone. It's called Stone Green. It's Valley yarn, 100% cotton. And I held it up against there and I was like, oh my God, that looks really good. And then someone said that's a great match, but find some other ones because otherwise it's going to be kind of boring if that's the only color you use. So I'm going to use the Stone Green predominantly. And then I'm going to do like 2 picks, so that's 2 rows, of whatever that yellow is that's sort of separating the units on the warp. 2 picks of that and like 4 or 6, depending on which looks better. I found a light purple that matches the light purple. And so I'm going to do that. So predominantly the green. And, it's going to be, it's not a balanced warp. I mean, the greens are on one side and the other stuff's on the other. And then I also have to decide, she has posted up a suggested treadling. It's actually a table loom that has been converted into a floor loom. So it looks a little funky. And so I need to decide if I want to do the pattern she has written out, if I want to figure out a different pattern, treadling pattern. Do I just want to do it as a plain weave? Which you can do by doing sort of the outside petals. It's a 4 harness loom. That involves math. I haven't thought about it yet. Okay, so this is what we have. some nice, you see the layers there. Okay. So if you want to guess a weight, go right ahead. If you want to suggest a name, go right ahead. I'm off camera here for a second, just sort of rolling it down my front so I can stick it in the scale. Okay. Oh, and if you're in Wafa, if you want to hang out with us tonight, the sweater support group is at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I will be leading that. I'll probably be working on my shawl. Okay, last chance to guess the weight. Okay. Yeah, it's not particularly heavy. Okay. Got at least one guess. Okay. Yeah, it's on the lighter side, and this Romney does tend to be, it's very, got a lot of air in it. It is 2.16 ounces. Just making sure I've teared that out. Yep, 2.16. Quickly write that down. And we'll see if the pen works. Not sure why I put that really big piece. I want a smaller, thinner piece. I'd like to save the bigger pieces for when I'm making multiples, and I won't have a multiple of this. So, 2.16 ounces. As I said, this will be in the sale next Sunday, unless somebody buys it before then. Okay? Yeah, you guys are guessing the sizes I usually make. But once again, that Romney tends to be a bit smaller, or maybe just fluffier bats, and so they weigh less. Yeah. So thank you very much for tuning in. I will, if you watch me on Wafa, I'm still doing stuff on New Year's Eve. I'm still doing the spin along on Christmas Day. Not everybody celebrates Christmas, and some people want to get away from people. And I'll also be doing stuff on New Year's Day as well. So, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you around on social media.